Hi there, it's Paulie here. Just back from flamenco class, as witness the fan. But you can see, by the way, this is midwinter in Perth. Oh, the pain, the pain. So look, I want to do a tea talk in the glorious outdoors, because why not? And sort of about the importance of session zero in role-playing games, but maybe not the way we've normally been talking about it. Okay, so I have been a dungeon mistress, games umpire, etc., since the mid-70s. I played D&D from pretty much, within a couple of months of its first release. And over those years, I've had some tricks that I do to sort of manage difficult players. Watchers of this channel, you will probably have heard my tales of Toxic Gamer. Yes, there are other people in groups in Melbourne of a similar ilk, but Toxic Gamer was a prime example. We had to learn kind of how to deal with someone. Now, the funny thing was, in them thar days, we didn't want to exclude people. We wanted to find the good in people and somehow encourage that to come out. What a very fine and, nice thing for us to do. However, I'm not sure that was a good idea. And that comes from long, bitter experience. Ooh, a single car. That comes from long, bitter experience with two cars. I'm in luck. That comes from long, bitter experience with furry fandom. Let us reel back. So I helped set up furry fandom in the 1980s. And I have to tell you, furry fandom was a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse in those days. Alternative comics were really kind of getting some traction. So it was full of all the kind of great movers and shakers of the alt comics, black and white comics movement. But it was also filled with animators from Disney, animators from Warner's, directors from Disney and Warner's, animators of all sorts. There were children's book illustrators, fine art painters, authors and game designers like moi. It was just an amazing powerhouse of people. So you'd go to a furry con and just the art was stunning and the conversations were stunning because all these people kind of experts in their field, full of life, full of energy. You just wanted to talk to them, find out about their projects, and you'd come out just so fired up with imagination for your own projects. So this was why we made this fandom. But over the years, it got colonized, first by people who were just fans of like the funny animal genre. We didn't call ourselves furries, it was funny animal fandom. And they were nice, they brought something to the party, they brought an audience for many people, so we got sales of people's comic books and so on, which was fantastic. But the other thing that began to happen was, as the years went by, we got people who weren't fans of the genre, they were fans of the fandom. They just wanted to be in that community. And we had this thing that we will welcome you in because sometimes fans can be awkward. They don't have many social skills and so on. So we'll look past that and welcome you in. This is just a place where people share love of a genre. So if you love that genre and you're a bit awkward, we'll invite you in. But as the years went by, it became a sheltering point for not just the socially awkward, but for some of the worst personalities ever spawned on the planet. I kid you not. Because there'd always been like a girly art quotient and so on to it, it began to gather some really unsavory types. These people became the dominant force in the fandom because there's just more of them compared to those original movers and shakers. Ooh. And they actually started forcing out the original creators and so on because those people didn't want to be associated with some of these people. Fast forward to now, where furry fandom has virtually no top-end creators in it at all. You won't find people from Disney and Warner's who will turn up to a furry convention, really, or say they're furries. Those days are done. How does this apply to Role-playing games in particular, same thing can happen. When we accept bad behaviors and try and modify what we do to work around them, we are accepting those behaviors. In terms of good old-fashioned Nazi fighting, if you let a Nazi drink at your bar because he's an okay guy, you're now a Nazi bar, because he will bring his friends and they will bring their friends, and boom, now you're a Nazi drinking place. And this is what happens. People bring their like-minded friends because that behavior is tolerated. So, and I often tell you in this channel, I'm not dumping on other people. I am happy to dump on myself. I need to be better. I need to be a better person, and I need to be better at handling a lot of these things. So a recent encounter at a games club, there was a player turned up. Now it's a club, but it's someone else's house and it's run there, and this person was deliberately invited in. And this chap had run a game that I'd been in, and as an umpire, this guy was great. It was a very simplistic game. It was just combat. Sidebar, I find that the games that are entirely pushed as combats are kind of a lowest denominator game. They're for people who don't have to be particularly engaged in the world or clever. But it was a perfectly fair game. What happened, however, when this guy was a player, was a nightmare. So, an older guy, he was an army vet. Now, toxic gamer of who I've spoken, he was a Vietnam vet, so I kind of recognise the type. This is much later years, so this guy was, an Iran-Iraq vet. But there's just something about that cast of person. There'll be a big fat guy usually, and there's something broken. Two streams. One is, and there's no polite way of saying this guy was rapey. I'm trying to run a game. So I decided I was there to run a one-shot original D&D sort of thing. So I decided to run the adventure that I've done to go in the new 2nd edition Advanced Labyrinth Lords. So there is a really substantial kind of mini campaign by me in that book. So I decided to run this. And so it's a group of people that I haven't met. I don't know these people at all, except for this guy. As I said, I'd been a player in his game. He seemed fine. But then as a player, this guy's rapey. There's no polite way to go around it. He's just that guy who decides, so I tell them, so you've come into a tavern, it's a mystery kind of scenario. They come in. So there's some guy sitting over in a corner kind of like talking about something very concerning in hushed whispers, like 4 guys way over here. There's another couple of guys who just seem to be drinking hard as if they're trying to drown their sorrows. There's an older woman at the bar, and there's a younger woman, probably a daughter, who's running around serving drinks and just trying to keep things cheerful. So this toxic player just immediately goes over and just starts, how much to fuck you? The girl, what? Yeah. Oh yeah, I won't fuck you. How much? Yeah. What? Go away, get out of here. Get out, go and get out of the bar. Oh, all right. So, are you leaving? Oh no, she won't go to her mum, and just sort of, I go, oh yeah, you look really cool. And he's doing the same thing. And like got the other players around the table looking at me, oh Christ, he's one of these. So, the other thing these guys usually want to do is combat. So what I did was an old trick I have, which is peel this guy off from the rest of the party as quickly as possible. Because, I'm trying to run like a thing for people, introductory. I don't really want to throw this guy out because I'm nice. Like I said, I am in error here. So I just kind of make almost a separate adventure for this guy. Everyone else will go and do the adventure. This other guy, I will split him up from the party and just put him in a series of combats off on his own. I'll run these guys for like 20 minutes and I'll go back to you, do some combats, bang, spat, back, keep you happy or whatever, and then just run the actual adventure. So there's no interaction. This guy doesn't talk to anyone. He's just rolling dice and hitting things. But also there came that point where people, slow down, sit down, and just people want to have a drink, eat a snack, and share tales. This guy's a vet, and he just starts bringing out vet murder stories. And again, I'm old, I've been in the army, I dealt with these people, I've heard this before, and he's starting to just bring out cheerful tales of, messing with dead bodies or just killing people. And I had to lean forward to, no, what? Absolutely not. What? No. If you want to tell the story afterwards, we'll sit down and you can tell me those. But no. Not for the punters, not for ordinary people. No, just absolutely not. So this guy had no social boundaries. So I had a meeting with some people afterwards, and we're talking about this guy. And my thought here is, I am the one that's entirely in error, because what I did was I hived him off and gave him that separate game. So he was entertained. I kind of sort of defused that situation so everyone else could enjoy a game, but that kind of disturbance was still there and that sort of creepy feel was still there. I think, in retrospect, I should have brought the whole game to a halt, lectured an older guy, really, and said, sorry, this behaviour is not acceptable. Can you completely move away from that? And maybe keep the game going, and if he gave one hint of doing it again, he's out. I have to close the game down and send him off the table. Mostly, that's not going to really change his behaviour, but mostly because it would have shown everyone else at the table that their interests are being very, very actively protected by me, as to the more subtle thing I did, which was kind of hive this guy off on the side. Which they appreciated. Some of them told me afterwards, yeah. But, another incident, same club in fact, where a friend turned up and was just kind of sitting down for their first ever games experience, first ever role-playing games experience, and the person next to them was just treating them with immense disrespect for being a woman. Kind of speaking down to them, you can't possibly expect her to understand these sheets. I'll mansplain it 5 or 6 times because obviously women can't. And it was just really, really toxic. So, so there's someone's first games experience soured. Will they go back to it? I don't know. Errors. And I think this is why a session 0 is needed. And it's needed at clubs like this. At the start of a games session, where there are new people in particular, do it. If you're an umpire or a dungeon master, dungeon mistress, start out from the very beginning and say what your acceptable standards of behaviour are, what you will tolerate. I know session 0 has usually been pushed as everyone telling you what their triggers are, and it's all very touchy-feely, and that's nice. I think it has to be a little bit more dictatorial. As an umpire, I am not indulging these particular fantasies of yours. We are here to do this and this and this. I expect you to treat each other with respect. I expect you to contribute to the fun of the game. If you're here to tear down the game, you can leave. If you're here to play out weird, crazy fantasies, you can leave. We are here to do a game which has this flavour and this feel to it, and it will be on these things. So, as the umpire, you set game boundaries and let everyone know. If anyone's making you feel uncomfortable, you speak out immediately. Now, over to you players. Is there anything that is going to particularly, upset you, trigger you? Are there things that you want veiled? Do that. But it has to be done. Even for a one-shot thing like this, like it was only supposed to be like a 3-4 hour game. So it's like, I sit down. No, has to be done. Has to be. How much different would those early days have been with Toxic Gamer had we read the Riot Act to him that early on? Would he have just left, in which case maybe some of us wouldn't have psychic scars? Or would he have changed his behaviour? Maybe he would have, because the guy was desperate for a game and maybe might have realised that if he's going to play, he's got to change the behaviour. But as it is, older me, looking back, I think we enabled the behaviour of that toxic gamer by still allowing him in without changing the behaviour. We walked away from him in the end, but maybe if we'd made a stronger stance very early on, we could have done something. But I think now that we all understand more about games and what the experience is, I think we have to look way more at setting the social contract before the game begins, because particularly sitting around a table, a game is a social experience. So set that social contract. What behaviour isn't acceptable. And this goes for older groups as well. Look, if you've got a group that's been meeting for years and years and years, your old friends from, school days, university days, whatever, next time you play, just check in with everybody. Just say, is everyone okay with the way we play? Is everyone okay the way we talk around the table? Because, yeah, you've been friends for years, but people get traumas in their lives. They get life changes, things happen. It might be worth just doing that little mental health check-in. How is everybody? Do you enjoy where we are? Is there anything we can do to make this better for everybody? Because in the end, a role-playing game is an emotional journey we want to share with other people, and we want that emotional journey to be a good one. So even if it's an old group of friends, just check in. How is everybody? How are you? Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. I think I used to do a lot of games long ago that would just crash. I'd have this amazing idea, and then I'd find the players I got were just there to kind of tear the game down and mock it. All right, so I put a lot of effort into doing an entire setting, which I'm not going to run now, because if you're going to dump on things because you're trying to score points by being clever or something, all right, well, I would just stop the game. Maybe a session 0 in which we said, are you just here to mock the game, or are you going to engage with it? So, right, well, then I won't run it if you're here to mock the game. I'll find another group. It would have been better for me. Those settings that I then never ran could have been run for someone that would have appreciated them, instead of me running something that these people obviously didn't want. They didn't want a thing with skyships drifting through the skies and piratey. They just wanted to kick open doors, murder people, and take their money. Oh, okay. But I could have saved that for someone else. So much could have been saved with a session 0. I think a lot of new players might have stayed with the hobby. I think a lot of games will run better if we do this. So yeah, I think I personally now have to put aside the nice sort of I don't want to upset anyone, and actually start doing some hard rules, and not be reluctant to tell someone on your bike, you're not welcome here, Mr. Rapey. No. This is not appropriate under any social circumstances, actually. But I'm particularly not indulging this, and it's time to go. Anyway, like I said, my few cents worth on a sunny midwinter's day in Perth. Woohoo! While wearing flamenco gear. Anyway, I'll see you all around a gaming table sometime, I hope. Cheers.